Hello, and welcome to this public debriefing from the Kenosha Police Department. I'm Officer Jeff Wamble, a crime prevention officer for our department. With me is Lieutenant Joe Noslick, our public information officer, and also Lieutenant Aaron Dilhoff, who is our lead instructor on active shooter response. Also in the room is safety officer Tyler Cochran, who is manning the computer and will be fielding your questions as they come in live on Facebook. Now, our objective today is to answer your questions concerning the recent incident at
All right, so on October 20th, 2022, Kenosha Police Department received what we now know to have been an active or a hoax threat to Bradford High School. Following that event, we felt it was really important to connect with our community, to let the community know how did everything go. Parents and students had just gone through one of the most traumatic days in their students' academic careers. So I sent out a post on our Kenosha Police Department social media page just to let everybody know that, hey, things went really well. Kenosha Unified School District staff acted appropriately and followed training and protocol. Most importantly, your kids did a phenomenal job. They followed the training, they followed what they've been working on for so many years. And the police department here, along with Kenosha Fire Department and other responding law enforcement agencies, they did a phenomenal job responding to what we all thought in the initial phases was a live event. Like I said, we learned, moments into it that it was likely a hoax, but by that time we were fully invested into treating this as an active event. One of the things that we did learn from this event, we got a small peek into what a real event really might be like. And we saw parents responding in mass to the school, to Bradford High School. Those streets around 39th Avenue and Washington Road quickly became congested to the point where if we had to get emergency services into or out of that school, it would be tremendously difficult. So in the message I sent out, following that event, I asked parents, I said, please go against your instinct to respond to that school. And to be honest, it was really easy to, although it involved a lot of thought, it's very easy to type up some words and click send. And as I was thinking about it, I realized what I'm asking. And if we're going to ask you as parents to not respond to that school, you have every right to ask us, why should we trust you? And why should we believe that you're going to keep our children safe? That's the reason why we're here today. We want you to be able to look at us, to see that we are ready to answer your questions, and we're vested in making sure that we get this right. We don't want it to be something that we just type up and click send. You have every right to want to ask us or to want to know what's different about Kenosha Police Department than anywhere else in the United States. That's why we're here today.
Exactly. And now, for the past few days, we have made posts on Facebook and on Twitter letting you know about this live Facebook event. And we ask you to send in questions. And I am happy to say you responded in a large way. We received many questions from you, and because we want your involvement, so we're very thankful for that. But now, before we spend the rest of our time diving into those questions and discussing your concerns, we would like to define for you exactly what we think an active threat incident is. Lieutenant?
Yeah, so look, everybody can look up what a textbook definition is for an active threat incident. But let's be real. When we have our loved ones in schools, out at grocery stores, at a movie theater, that threat is a threat to your loved one. It's using some type of force. What kind of force? I guess it really doesn't matter, but it's force of any kind that's intended to hurt somebody or kill somebody. That's what we're talking about today. The FBI has, textbook definitions of what it is, but you really need to know that it's any threat to any loved one that's intended to hurt or kill them. That's what we're talking about.
Joe, just to follow up on that, any active threat event is going to be deeply traumatic for our community. And it's going to be extremely chaotic. It's going to be life-changing for everyone involved and everyone in our community, whether they have a loved one that is at this location where an incident like this takes place or not. I have 4 of my own children that are in the unified school right now. I am 100% invested. I could not be more all in on getting this response right. All of the officers and firefighters, EMS that responded to Bradford on October 20th knew somebody in that school, whether it was one of their own children, whether it was a loved one that's on the staff or faculty, or just a friend that is a teacher. Everyone had some sort of connection to someone in that school. So we just want to say we get it. We are 100% empathetic to that feeling, that anxiety, that terror that this type of incident causes and did cause when we believe this was a real event on October 20th. So when Joe asks, why trust us? Why should you listen to us? Because we're in this with you. And we want to take the opportunity today to do some education about how we respond to these events, how we train all of the people that we partner with, and some things that everyone in the community can do and know and be aware of if something like this takes place.
Mm-hmm. And not only that, we must do everything in our power to prevent this type of incident from occurring in the first place. And we need to teach our citizens, how to react. So what we plan on doing in the next few weeks is we're going to put together a multi-part series on our Kenosha Police Department podcast so that we can educate the public, okay, about how to survive an active attack, an active threat. So look for that very soon. But for now, let's get started with your questions, the questions that came in. The very first one came in a few days ago, and it was a question often asked. And gentlemen, simply, it was, what happened? People want to know what happened. So Lieutenant, could you tell us, give us a summary of what happened at Bradford?
So let's, Jeff, if you don't mind, let's get rid of the lieutenant thing and just go with Joe
Sounds
and
good.
Aaron, okay? There's 2 of us up here, so just to keep it easy.
Sounds good.
All right, so listen, on October 20th, everybody knows that, everybody may not know, but it's widely known that there was calls that started coming in at about 8 o'clock in the morning throughout the state of Wisconsin. I believe the city of Racine received the first call in the state, and I can tell you that Kenosha Police Department received our call here at 8:11 a.m. to respond to Bradford High School for what was an active shooter or what had been an active shooting that occurred in that school. It took a few minutes for us to realize that that was likely a hoax. However, by that time, we were fully invested in responding to that school. And I'm going to turn the talk over to Aaron so he can discuss about how that response went. But needless to say, we were very impressed and pleased with how everybody acted.
I can say the response was immediate, very, very quick. We won't get into too many details about the response, but we had a school resource officer in the school at the time this call came out, and he was in the location that was described in the emergency call immediately, within a minute. Patrol officers were on scene within minutes and were attempting to get into the school. We had a massive response from law enforcement agencies surrounding us. We had federal agents respond that were in the area. We had numerous state troopers respond from the Wisconsin State Patrol. We had a large response from the Kenosha Fire Department, and it was all within minutes. So I can assure you that the response was immediate. Officers on the outside of the building were immediately coordinating with our school resource officer on the interior, and were attempting to get into the school as quickly as possible.
Good. Here's another common question, okay? If the event at Bradford was real, if it was a real attack, would parents be able to pick up their kids from school?
Go ahead.
Short answer to that is no. And that's the whole reason why we're here today doing this live event. Will you be able to pick up your kid from that school? In the immediacy, no. In the hours following a real event, no. KUSD and the Kenosha Police Department, we have set protocols that we have to follow. And one of those protocols is the reunification of you, the parent, with your child. KUSD has to be accountable for every student within that school. And if they were simply just to open up the doors and let kids go and go into the arms of their parents, they'd have no idea who's missing, who's reunited with their parents. There has to be some order and systematic protocol to follow to get your kids home to you safely. So it's a really short answer, no. Aaron, do you have anything that you want to add?
Yeah, I could can add to that response. Just trust that the police department's response, the fire department's response, isn't just the active threat portion of this. As parents, we understand even if the event is over, or even if it was a hoax in this case, that fear, that anxiety that my child is in that school and might be injured and I don't know they're okay, doesn't end until I'm holding my child and I'm looking at them and I'm able to see from my own eyes that they are not injured, that they are okay, that they are whole. So our training and our collaboration with the school district, with all of the other first responders, with the community, is through that reunification process. This call is not over until every child is accounted for and is with their parent or their loved one. And that has to be done in a systematic way. Now, the one thing that is an absolute constant with every active threat event is chaos. There is a massive response from law enforcement, fire, EMS, and there's a very large response from the community. And that is extremely chaotic. And it is very easy to understand how children not just allowed to leave the school on their own or try to arrange their own meeting point with a parent, those meetings may not happen. And then that feeling, that fear, that anxiety is just going to continue. And that's going to prolong that feeling. So trust that our training and our protocols and the work we do with Kenosha Unified involves getting your child into your hands so you can see for yourself that they are unharmed.
Very good. So here's a follow-up to that question. I think we did touch on it a little bit. The question is, what about after the incident is over? When can the parents pick up their child? And I believe we kind of covered that in when it's safe to do so. And that's something we will let the community know, correct?
Yeah, so listen, it's really important too for our community to understand. We know very well that you guys are waiting on word from us and from the school district. When an event like this happens, I knew how quickly I had to get messaging out to put everybody's mind at ease. And I know how important it is to know what is going on as soon as you can know it. So please understand that we realize, that there are people on the other end who are waiting for answers. And it's our goal to get you those answers as quickly as possible. But that being said, we have to also make sure that what we send you is factual, accurate information. And that takes some time to learn what actually is going on within the school, to learn when something can be sent out, and to get to the point of reunifying with your child. Yes, KUSD has predetermined reunification spots for each school, but those reunification spots could change depending on what's going on. So, there's a lot of stuff, like Aaron said, this is going to be a chaotic event if it does happen for real in our community, and we have to kind of go with the flow of what's going on. But what we really need our parents to do, and what we really need our school community to do, is be patient. And believe me, I understand what we're asking here. And wait for that messaging from KUSD and from the police department.
So you mentioned reunification spots, and that's fantastic. But a couple of questions came in about staging areas for parents. Does that include that in these reunification spots, or is that typically for the school itself?
That's all a part of the protocols, and the KUSD has a lot of prearranged locations where that's going to take place. And those locations are going to be emotional and chaotic scenes as well. And we are assisting KUSD, Fire EMS is assisting KUSD through that process. So there will be very specific information and times and locations that you will receive. Joe is right next to KUSD's information officer, and they are putting out the same messaging because we are all in this event together. So yes, the reunification sites, that you will get very specific information. If you are a parent that has a child in this school, you will get that information, and that will come from Unified and the police department.
Good. Here, let's shift gears just a little bit now. Some questions have come in about, have they found the suspect yet?
So, yeah, I just had a recent conversation, as recent as yesterday, with our lead case agent on this investigation. The short answer is no. We have not found who's responsible for making this hoax call, specifically here in the city of Kenosha and in the rest of the state. What we can tell you is that we believe that the call came from outside the United States. So, parents, don't worry, it wasn't one of your kids that made the call. What I can say, though, is that we're going forward with every resource that we have. We're working with our local agencies here. We're working with state resources and federal resources to try and figure out where did this call come from and to hold these people accountable, this people or single person that's responsible for this hoax call. I believe there were well above a dozen calls that were made that day in the state of Wisconsin. They started in the city of Racine and went, I believe, as far up as Sheboygan, Green Bay area. All of our agencies are talking to each other. We're all working together to try and figure this out. We're not going to stop trying to figure out who made this call. This is something that's completely unacceptable, not just here, but anywhere in the world. School is a place where kids are supposed to go learn and feel safe, and it should be a home away from home. They have every right to go there and feel comfortable, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that somebody doesn't violate that.
Now, I see we got a couple of current questions that Tyler's putting up on the board. You guys can read it as well, but can you, someone asked, can you please tell me why Bullen Middle School wasn't locked down and the parents notified? Do we have any knowledge on why that was?
I can't speak to that specifically. What I can say is talk about that chaos. So quickly into this event at Bradford, several minutes into it, officers did get the impression and started to get the idea, as we can quickly gathered as much information as possible, that this may not be a real event, that it was a hoax. The decision to lock down other schools, again, is that joint decision with Kenosha Unified and the police department. And every situation is completely different. Bullen is very close to Bradford. But as I said, minutes into this event, we started to get the impression that it was a hoax. However, that response is already happening. The information is being spread by students and parents and people in the community that this event is taking place. It spreads quickly, as it should, because of the seriousness of that event. So the response is already coming. Just because that response is continuing doesn't mean we haven't already gotten the idea that there's no threat. It just means we still have a lot of chaos to manage and are going to have to work through a lot of things, and we may not necessarily be able to call this what it is until we are absolutely certain. We don't want to make the mistake of saying it's a hoax before we are 100% sure and making the wrong call. But we may have enough information to not lock down another school that is several blocks away.
In a way, you're leading us into what we have, the next question that just came in, and it is, why did the kids get taken out, then brought back inside instead of taken further away? You kind of touched on that, but maybe elaborate just a little bit more.
It has a little bit to do with the lockdown procedures that Kenosha Unified trains repeatedly, that we are familiar with, that we partner with them. Not every student is in a classroom when a lockdown procedure goes into place. It may be during a passing period, at which point many aware specifically of if kids were brought back into the school, if they came back in on their own, if they were brought back in by staff. What I can say, we did initiate some of the reunification protocols. That process had started, and because of the lockdown, because Unified was going to allow students to go home and allow parents to pick them up, that accountability became important, even though this was a hoax event. Do we have every student? Is every child accounted for? Because again, even though it was a hoax, that anxiety, that fear was still very real to everybody.
Right. So what happens, what's the police department's role when a student, after, let's say, the all clear is announced? What is our role as the police department when a student maybe can't be found, or maybe they just skip school? I mean, is there any responsibility that falls on us?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
we would absolutely, just as if any time a child is unaccounted for, we would assist in any way as possible to locate that child. In this type of event, there is a high likelihood that, again, if a lockdown were to happen, there could be students that aren't in classrooms, and they may leave, they may flee, they may remove themselves, get themselves out of harm's way, and no one may know where they went. So it may be difficult to locate that child, but we would absolutely assist in any way possible if a parent was unable to find their loved one.
Okay. I'll let you elaborate. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jeff. Let me add on to that really quick. You know, KUSD has done a lot of training with our kids over the years. And, you know, part of what they teach is the Alice protocol, and the other stuff is the run, hide, fight, right? And running is part of what's being taught to your children. So if they have a chance, if there is an active threat in a school, and they have a chance to run away from that threat and get outside and get as far away from that threat as possible, that's what they're being taught to do. And that's what we want them to do, okay? But that does create, you know, some more work after everything is contained, is to figure out how many kids did exactly what they were trained to do, and to find these kids and get them reunified with their parents. It's really, really so important for everybody to know that if an event like this happens again, whether it's hoax or real, and kids believe it's real, staff believes it's real, the police department believes it's real, this training is going to kick in. Your children are going to do stuff that they've been taught to do. They do have, Kenosha Unified School District does have some places where kids are supposed to run to. We're not going to divulge where that's supposed to, you know, where that is here on Facebook, but your kids are supposed to run to a predetermined area if it's safe. The bottom line is we want your kids to get away from any threat that's there. So yeah, it's something that we know about, and it's something that we'll have to deal with after a situation's contained, but rest assured that the Kenosha Police Department is not going to be the only law enforcement agency that's here. We're going to have massive amounts of help to help us get this stuff done as quickly as possible.
Now, we want to be clear about something. We see some of the questions coming in and comments. This is not a live, ongoing event at the moment. We're speaking about something that happened a few days ago, a couple weeks ago at Bradford High School, and that's what we're talking about, the incident at Bradford. So it is not an ongoing incident at this time. Okay. Another question, guys, that came in was about why children aren't allowed to have cell phones in the schools. Is there any comments you can make about that?
That would be a Kenosha Unified policy. We don't have any say in that. It's probably safe to say that rule is not followed 100% of the time. We get a lot of, we receive 911 calls from inside the school, and we're receiving information. But that would be a policy of Kenosha Unified School District.
Right.
And I know
Really speak to.
that policy is going out west of west of I-94 also. It's our county schools are implementing the same stuff when it comes to cell phones. It's really important to talk about, though, too, is we didn't really touch on how unified this training is. I mean, we're sitting here talking about what goes on in the city of Kenosha and Kenosha Unified School District, and although we don't want to speak for the Kenosha Sheriff's Department, who has jurisdiction out in the county, but Aaron, do we all train the same way? Are we all getting the same training?
Yeah, so for years, we have trained with the Kenosha County Sheriff's Department in active shooter response training. Because again, this is a regional response to this type of event. This takes a lot of resources to deal with, and we want to be on the same page as much as possible with our other law enforcement partners, with Kenosha Fire and EMS and surrounding fire and EMS agencies. And I can tell you that we have trained with every fire department that's in the county of Kenosha. We have trained with law enforcement agents, every law enforcement agency in Kenosha County, and we've also trained with just about every law enforcement agency in Racine County. And in Racine County, all those law enforcement agencies are training with the fire departments and EMS agencies in their county, and we're all doing the same training. Some of the terminology might be a little different, but our mission in this type of event, we are in lockstep with them that are responding. And again, we had numerous agencies respond to this event. The State Patrol, they are doing very similar training to us because this is a regional response. And because these events are so chaotic, we want to be on the same page as much as possible, not only with law enforcement, EMS, but with the Kenosha Unified School District. And that is why we have meetings with them, we examine their protocols, they look at our protocols, we share information, and we talk about how these events take place. But that also includes the community. That also includes everyone that might be listening to this. And that's why we want to do a little education about how we respond, what to expect from us, and to trust us that we want to get this right and that we are 100% invested in getting this right and doing this as efficiently as possible.
Exactly. Now, I know we're almost out of time. Guys, is there anything else you want to add? Anything maybe we didn't touch on? I know, Joe, you just brought up some good points and Aaron elaborated on it, but is there anything else? And if anybody's out there listening, if you want to type in real quick, I know we're going to hold this to 30 minutes and we're getting close. Send in your questions, or gentlemen, if you've got anything.
Joe, if you want to talk about the see something, say something, and then I'll talk specifically about that parent response.
Absolutely. So, see something, say something. You're seeing this phrase pop up all over the United States, and it is as simple as that. If you see something that doesn't look right, if you see something that looks suspicious, out of place, there is no issue with you calling the police department and saying, hey, I saw this and I don't have a good feeling about it. Or I saw this and, this kid doesn't belong at this school. Or, at a grocery store, if something just looks out of place, call us. We would far rather come out and investigate something and debunk it as just, normal everyday stuff that just looked out of place but it wasn't nefarious. Rather than responding to the alternative. So please, call us if you see something and let us know. We'll be out there to investigate it. Also, you need to know that your kids have access to an app called Speak Up, Speak Out. And I can tell you that is being put on. It's operated by the state of Wisconsin, the Office of School Safety. And that app is working. We are getting a lot of information on people seeing something that doesn't look right, and they're using that, and information is getting to us. We are investigating this stuff prior to incidents actually happening, and either vetting out that they're not nefarious in nature, that there was some type of misunderstanding, or that there was some type of legitimate threat here that did get dealt with prior to an active threat being carried out. That being said, it's really important to know There are so many agencies involved in this here in Kenosha County to intervene in school threats prior to them actually happening and being carried out. There'll be more to come on that in the future, but there is a school threat assessment group that exists here in Kenosha County. And we'll be talking about that before the end of the year in some type of public forum. But that does exist, and that consists of the police department, the sheriff's department, all law enforcement agencies here in Kenosha County, the district attorney's office, Kenosha Unified School District, all the districts that are west of the I. All of us are involved with making sure that stuff like this, school threats, aren't carried out. Believe it or not, they do happen here in Kenosha County, but so many are dealt with before anything tragic actually happens.
Looks like we had another question come in, and the question is somebody being charged for this, or will whoever's behind this be charged? And I could assume yes.
Yeah, if we can identify who's responsible for
there's
making
more
this
to it
threat.
than that. I realize, we don't know the standing or the nature or the maybe the mental health of the person doing this. There's a lot that plays into it. But in a general sense, I would assume the person would be charged.
Yeah. I don't want to lead anybody down a path that
Right.
this is going to be a solved case. Complete honest and transparency, this case is going to be very difficult to solve. But we're not giving up. We are not going to throw in the towel and say that, this threat came from the United States, outside the United States, so we're not going to be able to figure it out. We're going to keep working at it. We're going to use all of our resources with our local, state, and federal resources, and we're going to keep pursuing this. And yes, if we can figure out who made this call, or an organization that made this call, yes, we will push for charges, 100%.
Very good. Tyler, anything else? Oh, I'm sorry,
I
Aaron.
just want to just stress one more thing about that parent response and why it's important. So that again, the active threat portion of these events is often over very quickly. But again, that large response is coming. We may have injured people in there. It is all of our responsibility to allow the training and our protocols and our procedures to take place. And a massive response by civilians to these events can be very problematic. If one of my sons or one of my daughters is shot in their classroom, I can't fix them, but a paramedic can fix them. I want a paramedic working on them. I want them in an ambulance, and I want them at a hospital yesterday, because I want them being operated on. And all I can do to help with that is make sure roads aren't blocked. Make sure paramedics have a safe way to get to people that are injured. So I say that to just highlight why that is so problematic when parents are just responding to the school en masse. An ambulance may not be able to get through the traffic jam and get an injured child or staff member at the location this is happening to a doctor, to the medical attention that they need. And that is all of our responsibility. So again, please trust that all of us have a role to play in this, whether it's reporting something suspicious or some concerning threats. Even if someone says they're a joke, we take these completely seriously. And then that other piece is just, we know these are extremely traumatic, emotional events, but we have to block some of that as much as we can and not restrict the ability of people to do their jobs and get people the care that they're going to need if an event like this takes place.
Yeah. These are our kids, folks. These are our loved ones. We don't get second chances.
Very true. Well, I think we're going to wrap things up here. Thank you all for tuning in. We know this is an extremely serious topic, and many of you may have other questions that you didn't post on Facebook, or maybe you'll have questions after you see this rebroadcasted. So to remedy that problem, please send us emails with your questions to pio@kenoshapolice.com. That's the email set up for this. It's PIO, that stands for Public Information Officer. So again, it's PIO@kenoshapolice.com. And look forward to the future where we place a multi-episode podcast together where we talk about how to survive an active threat. So on behalf of all of us here and the Kenosha Police Department, I want to thank you for tuning in.
Thank you very much, Kenosha.
Thank you.